Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters, and kids, and elders. MashaAllah. This is going to fall. There you go. Okay. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah, as-salatu was-salamu ala Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man wala. قال الله تعالى في القرآن الكريم بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا قوا أنفسكم وأهليكم نارا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, O you who believe, قوا أنفسكم, save yourselves, وأهليكم, and your families from the fire. And that was the theme for this series of circles, this series of talks of the next 3 weeks, inshallah. Save yourselves and your families from the hellfire. And like the brother mentioned today, my topic today is on the issue of marriage, the first of the 3 sessions. And I'm going to try to address everyone in the audience. It's not going to be easy because we've got people who are married, people who are not married, people who have no idea of marriage, people who have been married for decades. And we need to try to understand some of the package of marriage. But key to that is understanding the perspective of marriage. Where does that come from? Does it come from where we live and what we are surrounded by? Or does it come from Islam? And that is going to be how I'm going to try to address the issue. And as usual, I know the speaker said 25 to 30 minutes, but I may, depending on the nature of the response of the audience, or whether you're asleep or awake, I may extend or go either way. Now, it's undoubtedly true that living in the West has its adverse effects, has its problems. Living here, it shapes the way we think, the way we feel, it shapes our likes and our dislikes, it shapes our hopes, our aspirations, it shapes our behavior in many ways. And whether we like it or not, there is some of the corruption of this society which does affect us and does affect our families. That is a sad situation. But the only saving grace, the only thing that will save us is if we try to hold on to Islam. And that is our test. Living in this country, our test is to hold on to Islam as much as we possibly can. That is vital for us as Muslims living here. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put us in various tests anyway. He's designed it like that. So in Surah Mulk, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, الَّذِي خَلَقَ الْمَوْتَ وَالْحَيَاةَ Why? لِيَبْلُوَكُمْ أَيُّكُمْ أَحْسَنُ أَمَلًا. He has created us, why? Just for one reason. He's created life and death. Why? لِيَبْلُوَكُمْ أَيُّكُمْ أَحْسَنُ أَمَلًا. To see which one of you is the best at doing good deeds. Which one of you is the best at holding on to Islam as much as possible. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows what we are facing, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us guidance to try to stick to Islam in this situation. Now it's sad but true, but the whole idea of marriage, you know, from the Western perspective, they try to belittle Islamic marriage, or they try to belittle or give a negative stereotype towards Muslims, Muslim households, Muslim wives, husbands. The whole idea of marriage, they try to make it seem backward, and they create a very negative kind of image around marriage. And many cases we must have heard, you know, these issues of forced marriages or honor killings, and people, you know, girls running away, and issues surrounding misery within the married life. This is the reality of living in Britain. Because England, Britain, you know, it's got many descriptions. David Cameron called it broken Britain, because it's just broken. There's so many problems, the list goes on. Lonely Britain. Elderly people are just left alone. Most people between the age of 45 and 60 in this country are alone. They live a life of solitude. They're depressed. They're lonely. They haven't got an extended family to take time to look out for them. You know, Britain is known as the divorce capital of Europe. The divorce capital of Europe. This is a label Britain has got. Criminal Britain. Yesterday I was reading at the BBC, the rate of rapes in this country has risen by more than 29% from January to June. That's the kind of situation we are faced with. And Muslims live amongst that. And we know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told us that if we don't hold on to Islam, then we will be miserable. That is the fact. If we don't hold on to Islam, we will be miserable. Just like we see across Britain. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَمَنْ أَعْرَضَ عَنْ ذِكْرِي فَإِنَّ لَهُ مَعِيشَةً دَنْكَ وَنَحْشُرُوهُ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ أَعْمَى. On the Day of Judgment, any person who rejected the signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, like Muhammad recited, one of the signs, وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ, is that He created us for us wives, the whole institution of marriage. But Allah says, whoever rejects that, whoever turns away from that, وَمَنْ أَعْرَضَ عَنْ ذِكْرِي, if you turn away from Allah's reminder, what will happen? You will be raised up blind on the Day of Judgment. Blind. And you will say on the Day of Judgment, Ya Allah, why am I blind? I could see when I was alive. And Allah will reply, didn't I send my signs when you were alive and you rejected them? So you were blind in the world, now you're going to be blind on the Day of Judgment. So we will be miserable if we don't follow the Islamic guidance. Now we have to question why. Why is there misery? Why is there this negative view of this noble institution of marriage? Why is it a confusion? Because Muslims are pulled all over the place. Muslims living in this country, we are pulled all over the place in all sorts of directions when it comes to this issue of marriage. We haven't got a clear Islamic identity. We don't know the clear ahkam or guidance, the values Islam gives. And we are pulled in different ways. So for example, most of us in this room are Asian, or from that background, or have some link to Asians, you know, within the family structure. So we have like this idea of, you know, sharam and izzah, and people think that they're this traditional model which have their roots in Islam. But what happens is they have a twisted view of what a wife should be. That she's, you know, she has to save the honor of the family, and she should be married off for a certain lineage or for a certain title, or to make the father look good, or things. And these are, you know, unfortunately there are many cases like these where people are forced down that route and they are not from Islam. So you've got, you know, Muslims are pulled in that way. They have a particular way of packaging marriage, explaining marriage. And then you have, you know, the negative view that comes along with that, where the woman is like a slave. They have no rights in this model. The man is like the master, you know, he says jump, the wife says how high. There's no concept of, you know, help or support or companionship, but it's rather the man is like a dictator. And, you know, unfortunately sometimes parents, they make marriage, you know, a solution for their jahil son. So their son is, you know, jahil, he doesn't pray, he doesn't fast, he's on drugs, he's on all sorts of haram. And the solution is marry him off to some woman, to some nice simple village girl, and that will solve the problem. So not only do you ruin the guy, but you ruin the girl's life. So it's like a weird thing that they promote, weird thing that they push, which is not from Islam. And then you have the other side, which is the Western model, which is do what you want, when you want. No concept of loyalty, no concept of trust, no concept of real, you know, meaningful relationship, but it's just about fulfilling what their desire and their lust. They have got no issue because they are guided by freedom. They are pushed in a way which is, well, to get bored, just move on. Or, you know, it doesn't matter if you don't know anything about the person. They are not bothered. And that model then becomes appealing as well. So many youth, unfortunately, they feel that, you know, they are pushed, they are tempted, and then they go down the Western route. They go down the kufr route from a different angle and become jahil in a different way. And they follow the model that we see around us. And then you got the mix of the two. You got the mix of the two, which is another confused view. So, you know, I don't look anymore, but, you know, you see these matrimonial adverts. You see them all the time now, isn't it? Nikahforyou.com, you know, the brothers are grinning, I won't point to anyone. But Muslim marriages, the websites, these dating sites, that, you know, they get all these kind of things. And you see some of the adverts, Muslim female, looking for marriage, looking for friendship first, then marriage. What do you mean? What is it? Friendship first, then marriage. What does friendship mean? It's confused. Muslim guy looking for practicing Muslimah, but must be prepared to go out first a few times before, you know, moving anything further. Like weird. is that they're confused. They don't know the guidance that Islam gives, or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives in this circumstance. And in the midst of this, so you got the Muslims pulled in two different ways, east and west. In the midst of this, Shaitan, in his guise, in his trickery, he comes and he uses a dirty tactic. And the Western culture and the Western governments, they use a tactic. What they do is this. They make the traditional model, the typical Asian model, look so bad and create such a negative profile around the Asian traditional typical marriage. They say, look, you really want this kind of model where the wife has no rights, she has a chain to the sink, she can only walk so far away, she can't do anything else apart from just listen to and obey the husband. That's a terrible model. You need to come to our way of life. And the Muslims, they do have this impression that, yeah, that Asian culture is so backward. Look at these people, they're advanced, they're moving forward. And then what happens is, the Western way, the kufr way that's built on freedom, reels in the Muslims, reels them in. This way is much better. This way is, you're free, it's equal, it's fair, there's equality, but what they don't tell us, what they don't explain is that actually this way of life that they promote is actually filth. It's actually filth. But this is what they promote. So the Home Secretary, Theresa May, she says, I feel sorry, she's a current Home Secretary, I feel sorry for many of these Pakistani women or Asian women who have to marry for the sake of satisfying some man. This is cruel and we will not tolerate it. We will not tolerate, so they brought a law in this country that you can't have this type of marriage. We will not tolerate these kind of marriages. But what they don't tell you is that they will tolerate fahisha and munkar and zina and adultery and single gender marriages and cohabitation. They will tolerate everything. But they don't tell you that part. They tell you we won't tolerate this forced marriage. But you tolerate all the possible kufr around. But what they are doing as a tactic, they want us to integrate. They want us to assimilate, be the same as them. They want me and you to act like them, to marry like them, to behave like them, to have the same hopes as them. And we can't allow that to happen. We have to hold on to Islam. So what does Islam say? So that's the picture. East, West, confusion. The kafir governments, the Western governments with secularism and try to reel us into their way of life. So what does Islam actually say? And I want to go into this in some detail to look at the Islamic view towards this subject, towards this whole issue, so that we leave today with a better understanding of what does Islam say about these matters and the guidance that is given to us by Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran. So for example, first point, we must reject the traditional typical model, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says in the Quran, وَإِذَا قِيلَ لَهُمْ تَعَالَوْا إِلَى مَا أَنزَلَ اللَّهُ وَإِلَى الرَّسُولِ قَالُوا حَسْبُنَا مَا وَجَدْنَا عَلَيْهِ آبَاءَنَا أَوَلَوْ كَانَ آبَاءَهُمْ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ شَيْئًا وَلَا يَهْتَدُونَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, when we tell them, follow the Islamic way, follow what Allah and His Messenger says, they say, قَالُوا حَسْبُنَا مَا وَجَدْنَا, we are happy with what our fathers did. We are happy with what our forefathers did, what our generation did, what my great-granddad did. I'm just going to stick to how they did it. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, why? They don't know anything. أَوَلَوْ كَانَ آبَاؤُهُمْ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ شَيْئًا. They know nothing. You are following your tradition, you are following your culture, you are following where you've come from. They know nothing. Come to what Allah says. Come to what Allah and His Messenger says. Don't follow this traditional model, this typical backward model that confuses, mixes some strange cultural values and glosses them over with Islam and packages it as Islam. Don't follow that. Allah says, وَلَا يَهْتَدُونَ. They have no hidayah, they have no huda, they have no guidance. So one, we can't follow blindly the traditional model of our forefathers. It is not for us. Number two, we can't also follow the Western model. That's like going from the frying pan into the fire. So you got the frying pan, isn't it, with the KTC vegetable oil. That's bad, unhealthy. But you are jumping into the fire if you follow the Western model. You will get complete destruction if you follow that. Look, how can we go from rejecting the traditional model to following the Western one? So look, let's just have a quick snapshot and have a look at the Western model and its effects. I don't want to look at it too deeply because it's filthy, right? It's disgusting. But just have a snapshot. You name the top 10 problems of married life, top 10 problems of married life. The winners, the champions in every single problem is the Western nation, is the Western way of life. So if you have a look at mistrust, more than 70% of American wives, British, they don't trust their husbands don't trust their partners. Can't trust each other because they are free to do whatever they want when they want. How can you trust them? Within 5 years, most marriages based in the West, most marriages, one of the partners has committed adultery. Wife beating, not a slap, battery, wife battery. They've got a term. It's called wife battery, where you beat them so badly, you knock them out, you break some limbs. Happens every 18 seconds in America. Every 18 seconds, a wife is battered. Divorce, I've already mentioned, Britain is the capital, divorce capital of Europe. There actually is a money-making scheme for divorce, isn't it? You heard the term gold digger? They are the best at the problems. Child neglect, 3 million, over 3 million children in this country, and I'm a teacher, 3 million children don't know if the man they live with is their real father. That is the nature of the Western model. That is what they call it. And you know what? If it was an isolated incident, an isolated battery, or an isolated divorce, or an isolated mistrust issue, or an isolated adultery issue, or an isolated zina issue, if it was isolated, you could say, yeah, the Western model's fine. It's just 1 or 2 rotten apples. But when these things happen, every single day, every single hour, every single minute, every few seconds, in every part of the Western world, by the rich, by the poor, by the celebrities, by the pop stars, by the TV presenters, by the politicians, by the rich, by the black, by the white, by the Asian. When it happens by everyone, it's no longer a rotten apple. The whole tree is rotten. The whole tree is rotten. And everything which comes from it is rotten. So we can't follow the traditional view, and we can't follow this Western model which has led to the misery of millions all over the world. So what is our model? What is the Islamic model? What is the Islamic view on marriage? That's what we've come to learn. That's what we've come to find out. That's what we need to stick to if we want tranquility. And that's the thing you need to understand. We can't follow any of the 2 options that are presented. We must follow the Islamic way. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أَلَا يَعْلَمُ مَنْ خَلَقَ وَهُوَ اللَّطِيفُ الْخَبِيرُ. Shouldn't Allah know? He created us. Shouldn't He know? Allah should know. He's the one who's created us. أَلَا يَعْلَمُ مَنْ خَلَقَ. He's the one who's created us, so He'll know what is best for us. And He will guide us to what is best for us. So let's go through it. So let's have a look at the key Islamic concepts, key Islamic values when it comes to marriage, so that those people who are married in the room, they can go home and reinvigorate those things. Those people who are not married in the room can understand them, so that they look for these things. Those people who are, unsure, they come to learn and they find out what they don't previously know. So let's have a look at some of these things. The Islamic view on marriage. A lot of the youngsters, isn't it? They see marriage as like a burden. They try to avoid it for as long as they possibly can, because they don't want to deal with the challenge of it. Whereas the West, when they get tired or bored with one partner, it's fine. I work with colleagues who are on their 3rd, 4th, 5th wife, not 4 at a time. I mean, like, they've been divorced so many times. It's just normal for them just to marry one. What does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say? In the ayah which Muhammad quoted, in Surah Ar-Rum, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes the thunder, He describes the mountains, He describes the Day of Judgment. And amongst that description, He says, وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ أَنْ خَلَقَ لَكُم مِّنْ أَنفُسِكُمْ أَزْوَاجًا لِتَسْكُنُوا إِلَيْهَا وَجَعَلَ بَيْنَكُم مَّوَدَّةً وَرَحْمَةً إِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ لَآيَاتٍ لِقَوْمٍ يَتَفَكَّرُونَ. One of Allah's signs, وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ, one of His ayat is that He's created for us people who give us tranquility. Min anfusikum, from us, people, azwajan, wives, litaskunu ilayha. Some people who give us sakina. Some people who give us tranquility. Sakin in Arabic means the place that you come home to rest. So after like a hard day at work or a hard day with whatever, the toil and troubles of life, you go home to a place of tranquility. That's how Allah describes it. And He says, He's placed amongst you وَجَعَلَ بَيْنَكُمْ مَوَدَّةً وَرَحْمَةً, love and mercy, which I'll explain a bit later on. But that's what Allah's created marriage for tranquility. And Islam has given rights and responsibilities. Islam has given clear guidance on what the wife should do, what the husband should do. And He's made it a perfect balance. Not like in the West, where you don't know who wears the trousers. Does a man actually sometimes both wear the trousers? I don't have to say anything more than that, but sometimes they both wear trousers and jeans and a shirt. You understand? They've got no roles or description of what they're supposed to do. And then in the traditional model, the wife does all the grafting, all the work, and the husband is just food. Isn't it? That's what he wants. Whereas Islam has described it beautifully. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَهُنَّ مِثْلُ الَّذِينَ عَلَيْهِنَّ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ. Live with them. The women, they have rights over their husband, and the husbands, they have rights over them. Both are different. بِالْمَعْرُوفِ, in good terms. Yeah, on good terms. They have these rights and responsibilities. So, just a point before I explain the rights and responsibilities. The husbands in this room, they want to know, what does my wife have to do? So she needs to do 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah? Right. When I get home, I need to make sure my wife does these things. And the wife, she wants to know, so what does my husband have to do? So I can take his money without his permission. Great. What else can I take? Great. What? The wife wants to know, what can I take from the husband? Gimme, right? What they are not thinking about is, what are my obligations? Why is the husband so bothered about the wife's things? Think about your obligations, not your rights. Think about what you have to do, not what you're going to receive. Similarly with wife, think of what you got to do, not what you got to take. Because everyone in this life will disappoint us except Allah. Every human will disappoint us. The only person, only creation that will not disappoint us is Allah. So when we don't expect anything from anybody else, but we are more concerned about our obligations, we will do the things right. And when we get something, we will thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for it. So the husbands and the wives, think about your obligations first, then think about your rights. Because then you will have a better protocol to both of you fulfilling your roles and responsibilities. So Ibn Abbas radiallahu anh, he explained it nicely. He said, إِنِّي لَأَتَزَيَّنُ لِإِمْرَتِي كَمَا تَتَزَيَّنُ لِي. I like to adorn myself for my wife, just like I hope my wife likes to adorn herself for me. Because why? وَأُحِبُّ, I love, and أَنْتَنْزِفَ, I love to take my rights, حَقَّ الَّذِي لِي عَلَيْهَا, I like to take my rights from her, because I know she likes to take her rights from me. So I look out for her, she looks out for me. Yeah? He looks out for himself, he adorns himself, so that his wife, appreciates that, and she does the same for him. They have rights over each other in a way that benefits one another, in a way that leads to compassion, mercy, and tranquility. Unlike in the West, where the youth, and I'm sure it is the same for brothers and sisters, before they married, they look in a particular way, and they try to look in a particular way. And after they married, it's like, you haven't brushed your teeth for 2 days. Astaghfirullah, some brother laughed really loud there. Right? You get the point that before they marry, they are tip top, isn't it? Working hard, looking clean, looking smart every time. But after they married, they're like Homer Simpson, isn't it? This is not the way. It should be actually after you're married. Not when you sign the deal, I've got the rishta lads all sorted. So no need to buy deodorant. It's not like that. You have to, it's after you get married that you fulfill the rights properly. That you make sure you adorn yourself for her, she does for you. So what are the rights? And I'm not going to give I'm not a mufti, so I'm only going to give the key points, but it's the way that we discharge them that is more important. So for example, the first thing, kiwama. The man has he's the leader of the family. He's the one in charge of the family, right? Meaning, Allah describes wal muhsanat al muhsinin. The women and the husband and wife, the women, they are muhsanat, they are like protected. They are encamped in a fortress. Who looks out for them in that fortress? Who protects the wife from sadness, from boredom, from poverty? Who protects the wife in that muhsanat, in that encampment? It's the husband. He protects her. He looks out for her. He tries to do what he can. And Allah describes that's what the husband's job, he's the leader in that situation. Nafaka. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, Afdalu dinarin, the best dinar, the best money that you spend, yunfikuhu rajulu dinaru yunfikuhu ala ahlihi. The best dinar, the best money you can spend is the money you spend on ahlihi, on your wives, on your families. That's the best money you can spend. And he also says, wa dinaru yunfikuhu rajulu ala dabatin fi sabilillah. And if someone gives money for the sake of jihad fi sabilillah, that's as well. But he's equating the money you spend on your family and the money you spend fi sabilillah, they are the same. They are afdal, they are the best. So the man should do these things. Similarly, providing residence is another responsibility of the man that he needs to do. Just like the woman, she has certain things, right? The woman has to obey. That's one of the things. Dakhalul Jannah, if she does obedience to the husband, she enters Jannah. That doesn't mean that, and we'll talk about how to discharge these things, but that's one of her responsibilities. Looking after the home, looking after the housework. That doesn't mean all of it, but looking after it. Because the Prophet ﷺ said, وَالْمَرَّةُ رَئِيَّةُ فِي بَيْتِ زَوْجِهَا. That the woman, she is in charge, she looks after the man's home. She is وَمَسُولَةً. She is in charge, she is responsible for that home. These are just some of the things, but the point isn't what's the list. The point isn't, so what can I have? She has to do this, 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 or he has to do this, this. The point is, how are these to be done? How does Islam tell you to do them so that it leads to tranquility, mawaddatan wa rahma? How does Islam say to do them? And this is what I want you to focus on. The best example is undoubtedly Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He has shown how to be the best husband. And he has shown the guidance we should follow in trying to be the best possible husband. The Prophet ﷺ says, إِنَّ مِنْ أَكْمَلِ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ إِيمَانًا أَحْسَنُهُمْ خُلْقًا وَأَلْطَفُهُمْ بِأَهْلِ. إِنَّ مِنْ أَكْمَلِ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. The best believer, the most complete, akmal, the most complete believer, and the one who is best in his morals is the one who is وَأَلْطَفُهُمْ بِأَهْلِ, the nicest to his wives. That's the best person, right? That's it. Meaning, the way we should live with our wives when we get married or if we are married is in an atmosphere of companionship in the best possible way, of love and companionship. So for example, if the man is in charge of, the wife's got to ask for permission, as an example, to go out of the house, how should he do this? So if she needs to go out to buy some milk and bananas, can you make sure you WhatsApp me before you go out, please? I want a text message. I want to know, can you send me the Google Maps? I want to see on foot how long it takes, on car how long it takes. If you're taking my bike, I want to know how long it takes. I expect you back by this time. The Prophet ﷺ never did this. He discharged this issue responsibly, with love. So he said, the Prophet ﷺ said, if any of your wives want to go out to the mosque or to seek one of their needs, don't prevent them. Don't stop them. Right? Because there should be trust, there should be muttaqi, there should be pious. You should have love and affection amongst you. Don't do these things, do it reasonably. You know, the man is not a ruler. In the house, you know, the man is like, yeah, he's in charge of the family, yeah, agreed. He has final say on certain things. But he's not a ruler. He hasn't got like AK-47 and bazookas ready. You disobey me, woman, you're dead. Right? You must obey me. I am the ruler. I am the king of this house. He's not Fir'aun. You have to do, the wife can get angry. SubhanAllah, the wife does get angry. Indeed, the wife often gets very angry. Probably because of the stupidity of the husband sometimes, right? This is the reality. And even the wives of the Prophet ﷺ, they used to get angry. The Prophet warned us, he goes, be careful of the tongue of your wife, because it's sharp. Right? I was laughing. It cuts. Do you understand? Be careful. The Prophet ﷺ said they can get angry. So for example, one time, Aisha radiallahu anha, beautiful hadith, right? She said, and Aisha radiallahu anha she said, قال لي رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. The Prophet ﷺ said to me one day, إني لعالم إذا كنت أني راضية وإذا كنت علي غضبة. I know, the Prophet ﷺ said to Aisha, I know when you're angry with me, and I know when you're happy with me. Or I know when you're happy with me, and I know when you're angry with me. So Aisha radiallahu anha, remember, she's like the Prophet's wife. She's like, what? Me angry with you? You're the Prophet of Allah, how can I get angry with you? What do you mean? So she said, Min ayna ta'rifu dhalik? How do you know this? That I get angry with you sometimes. And he goes, because أما إذا كنت أني راضية فإنك تقولين لا ورب محمد. Because when you're happy with me, you say by the Lord of Muhammad. وإذا كنت علي غضبة قلت ورب إبراهيم. But when you're angry with me, you say by the Lord of Abraham. I know then that you're mad with me. And she said, Ajal, wallahi ya Rasulullah. Meaning like, no, it's just, she carries on, she goes, Ya Rasulullah, wallahi, ma ahjaru illa ismak. The only thing I change is the name. My feelings for you are the same. I just changed the name to Muhammad and Ibrahim. I actually still are the same. But it's obvious she gets angry sometimes, right? The wife as well in Islam, she can actually disagree with the husband, guys. She's allowed to say, no, you're wrong, it's okay. They're allowed to say no. Islam's given that. So one time, the Prophet ﷺ, he walked in, and Aisha radiallahu anha was with her friends. And he walked up to her, and he put his hand on her knee. And she pushed him away. She pushed him away. Now you can imagine the other women thinking, lucky, yeah, she's so lucky, she's married to the best person ever created. Yeah? Khairul khalq, the one who Allah fashioned so pristinely. And you've got Aisha radiallahu anha pushing him away. So the women are like, you are so bad, how can you push the Messenger of Allah? Before Aisha could respond, before she could respond, Da'iha fa inna tasna'u hadha wa ashaddu min hadha. Please don't make her angry. She does worse than this when she's at home. Don't, please spare me. Sisters, please don't make her even more angry, because when she's alone, she does worse than this at home. Right? So you can get angry. And also, they should help one another. Just because the wife is, responsible for the housework, doesn't mean you're not allowed to wash the dishes, guys. It's not haram to wash the dishes. It's not haram to look after, it's not haram to get the hoover out or to help. Actually, the Prophet ﷺ was the best at it. Inna min akmal al-mu'mineen. He was the best at it. He said, and one time Aisha radiallahu anha, she was asked, because the wives, the other wives, they wanted to know, because obviously their husbands were probably not as good. So they used to say to Aisha, look, what was he like as a husband? Tell me what he was like as a husband. So she said, and one time there's a narration that says, Anil Aswadi qal, that some person that was black said, Sa'alat Aisha, they questioned Aisha radiallahu anha, and they said, ما كان النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يصنع في أهله. How was he? What was he like with his wives? Tell us. And the first thing she responds, كان في مهنته أهله. Everyone who's Asian in this room knows what mehnat means, right? كان في مهنته أهله. He was in the mihna, he was in the service of his wives. Yeah? The Prophet ﷺ, the best of Allah's creation, the leader of a state, the leader of jihad, the people are, talking about him all over the world. كان في مهنته أهله. He was in the service of his wife. That's what he was. In another narration they said, tell us more. What else did he used to do at home? ما كان إلا بشر من البشر. He was like a normal man. He was like a normal man. كان يفل, that if his shirt was ripped, كان يفله ثوبه. He would mend it himself. Any of you guys know how to sew a button? Yeah. Isn't it? Right? Or get those sewing machines out, brothers. Get those they'll imagine the Prophet mending his own shirt. Carries on. وَيُحْلِبْ شَاتَهُ. He was milking his own goats. He would milk his own goats, milk his own animal. وَيَخْدُمْ نَفْسَهُ. And he would serve himself. Many times he would serve himself. He wasn't like some royal king. He's like, the salt's there. Right, pass me the salt, please. Pass me. He's like, no, he would serve himself. He was basharun min al-bashar. He was a nice man at home, kind, soft, clean his own clothes, wash his own clothes, serve himself, look after his own needs. Food, which is a cause of a big book bearer, especially for the Muslim men. We love our food, isn't it? But the Prophet ﷺ never complained about food to his wives like that, right? And Abi Hurairah radiyallahu anhu, he said, ما آب رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم طعاما قط. The Prophet ﷺ, he would eat the food that was given to him. If he didn't like it, he said, وَإِذَا كَرِهُ تَرْكَهُ. If he didn't like it, it's alright, meal with the boys later. Right? Many times him and Abu Bakr and Umar would go out, say let's go out to eat. And they'd go to different companions' house to go and eat. Right? Many famous examples. But it's not the case that, like the wife spent 3 hours making the meal and you take the first sip. Almost perfect. Is why not perfect, isn't it? Or if you had just put just a little bit more, few more sultanas, 4 more sultanas in that, it would have been banging. It's like, no, the Prophet ﷺ wasn't like this. He wouldn't complain about this thing. He would do it with closeness and intimacy. The Prophet ﷺ say, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Al-Baqarah, he says, Hunna, he describes the closeness and intimacy between them. He says, Hunna libasul lakum wa antum libasul lahunna. They are a libas for you, they are a garment for you, you are a garment for them. Right? You are a garment for them, they are a garment for you. And it's, you should say something nice, isn't it, to your wife? It shouldn't be the case that when you say something nice to your wife, she's like, what do you want? Isn't it? So like, why being so nice for? It should be normal, part of everyday life, that you say these things. Because the believer says nice things to one another. Spending quality time, and it's easier to give the advice than to live the advice, isn't it? It's easier to give the advice than to live the advice. But spending quality time, the Prophet ﷺ was the most busiest prophet ever. The busiest prophet ever. He wasn't like, someone who had lots of free time. But he would make a point of spending quality time with his wives. After the time of Isha, as-Samar, he would spend time chit-chatting with them. Because after a whole day, husband has been busy, wife has been busy. The wife has got so many things that she wants to download to her husband. But the husband wants to download a movie, astaghfirullah. Isn't it? This is sick, disgusting. Because sometimes the wife just wants to download certain issues. Because wives, they speak in code sometimes, isn't it? Yes means no, no means yes. Sometimes yes means yes, sometimes no means no. We don't know, it's hard. It takes time to digest. You need to spend the quality time to think, okay, which no is this one? Isn't it? Is it law of ta'rif? Is it law of... Which one is it? You're not sure. So you have to spend the quality time to find out these issues. Vice versa as well. The wife, oh, I ain't got time for my husband. I've been cooking, I've been cleaning, I've been changing nappies, I've been doing this, I ain't got time. No, it's like I said, they are both obliged. They are both obliged to fulfill this. And they both need to do these things. We need to make sure that we try to make effort to win the love of the wife, and the wife is trying to make effort to win the affection of the husband. Because look, Shaitan, what does he do? He makes the haram option seem really nice, and he makes the good option seem horrible. That's what Shaitan's job is. So Shaitan is going to try to make your wife not appealing to you. Shaitan is going to try to make your husband not appealing to you. He is going to try to do that. We have to try to be like the Prophet ﷺ, joking and winning each other's affection. This is how Islam tells us to live. And there's many examples. You know, there's examples where the Prophet ﷺ one time Sauda, one of the wives of the Prophet, she threw flour Aisha threw flour in her face, and the Prophet ﷺ goes, oh, you're not going to take that, are you? She just threw flour in your face. You need to get her back for that. And then she would throw flour back in her face, right? When the Prophet ﷺ was with Aisha, when she was in a particular time of the month, when she used to drink, he would put his mouth where she had put her mouth, as a point. When she would leave a bone, he would pick that one and eat that one, as a point, to try to win the affection. And they would do the same thing. We know the example of the Prophet ﷺ racing, when Aisha was young and she beat him, and then later he ﷺ beat her in a race. He would take her out to go and watch the Abyssinian slaves doing their sword fighting and doing the Prophet ﷺ did these things for a reason, to show us, to explain to us the Islamic view on marriage. And the Prophet ﷺ, he said, khayrukum, and this is it's like repetition. Normally when you get repetition like this is for emphasis. خيركم لأهله وأنا خيركم لأهلي. The best of you is the one who is best to his wives, and I am the best to my wives. So he's telling us this is the best person. Last couple. I told you it was going to be half an hour. Overlooking mistakes. We all make mistakes. And we are all susceptible to holding grudges, to being bitter, to being nasty, to being mean, to being horrible. But we have to overlook mistakes. This is one of the things. The Prophet ﷺ, he was perfect, and he would always overlook the mistakes of the children, of the wives, of the brothers, of the sisters. This is a quality of a believer, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he says that don't hate another believer or hate another characteristic. When you first get married, for those of you who don't know, when you first get married, it's like, love is blind, because even a snotty tissue is appealing. So, my wife, she isn't even a snot, man. Everything is brilliant. Everything is perfect. The way she arranges everything in the house, everything is brilliant. I like what she's done here. It's really nice. But after a few years, you're like, no, can I have the control, please? Leave it there. And slowly you get a bit OCD, isn't it? No. Why? It's like, come man, it's like, you've been married 7 years, you're still putting 3 sugars in my tea. It's like initially, they say love is blind, isn't it? Hubbul ayn la tara. You can't, the eye of love can't see, it's blind. But when that love starts to dissipate, the energy is dissipated other areas, then you need to follow this, overlooking mistakes. Because even in the ayah, mawaddatan wa rahma. There's mawadda first, then rahma. Mawadda in Arabic means passionate affection. And that happens at the beginning. Passionate affection. Warmth and love. But then after that, mawaddatan wa rahma. Then mercy. Because when the passionate affection dies, or dissipates or goes down, then you need mercy. Overlooking each other's mistakes, overlooking each other's problems. This is the guidance that Islam gives. And the Prophet ﷺ, he said, فَإِنَّ كَرِهْتُمُوهُنَّ فَسَا أَن تَكْرَهُ شَيْئًا. There could be something that you dislike, وَيَجْعَلَ اللَّهُ فِيهِ خَيْرًا كَثِيرًا. There's some mistakes that happen between both of you. You have to learn to overlook those things. In another one, لَا يَفْرَقْ مِن مُؤْمِنَا. Don't hate, don't dislike a believing woman. إِن كَرِهَ مِنْهَا خُلْقًا رَضِيَ مِنْهَا آخَرٍ. There could be something that is bad now, but there are other things that are really good. Concentrate on the good. And there was one time a man came to Umar bin Khattab. He said, look, I want to divorce my wife. Because why? Because I don't love her anymore. Umar goes, What happened to decency? What happened to your common decency? Did she not look after your children? Did she not put up with you for all those years? Did she not stay patient with you? Where's your common decency? And they made the man think and the man changed, and he didn't. Right? Because we are not like the West, where we just act on our whim, where we use the rules of Islam to serve us, because that's just benefit. When you use the rules of Islam to serve you, that's just benefit. You haven't changed your basis. Rather, you should please Allah, and that is the thing you should serve, not yourself, and get the benefit for yourself. I'll finish with a story, and this story I learned it many years ago, but I always like using it in this kind of topic, because you know how the Prophet ﷺ used to spend the time of a summer, the time of after Isha, chit-chatting with his wives. One time he told this story to Aisha radiallahu anha, and it's a story of 11 wives, 11 wicked women, right? The 11 wives who in Jahiliyyah, they told each other this story. And 11 Jahil women decided to come together and disclose the secrets of their husband to one another. And one time the Prophet ﷺ was chatting to Aisha radiallahu anha, and he goes, I'm going to tell you a story tonight. Okay, I'm all ears. This hadith is known as the hadith of Zara, right? It's known as a hadith of Zara. It was about a woman called Zara. And the Prophet ﷺ starts off this hadith. He says, I'm going to tell you about these 11 women. Some of them have got good husbands, and some of them have got bad husbands. Some of them got really stupid husbands. And the point for us, let's look at these descriptions and see which ones we should strive to be like and which ones we should avoid. Husband, so wife, 11 wives get together. Wife number 1, she goes first. She goes, I'll go first. She was really eager to get it off her chest, right? I'm going first. My husband is like some bony meat of a camel at the top of a really difficult mountain. Neither is it easy to get to, neither is it easy to eat. It's just not worth the effort. My husband, I try so hard. He's the bony meat. You know, you go to the meat shop to buy some meat, and you want some tender. Now you like that nowadays. Boys are into steak and stuff. You want the steak. You want the meat. You don't want a bone. But she goes, my husband is like the bony meat at the top of a rugged mountain. You get there after all that effort. When you get there, you think, is this it? What's the point, right? So he's unapproachable. There's not worth the effort with him. So she goes, my husband is like that. Husband number 2. This wife, she's a cheater. She lies. This wife, husband number 2, she says, if I start to tell you about my husband, I fear I won't stop. Right? Meaning my husband is so full of defects, so full of problems. If I give you the full list, I'll be here all night. So I don't even want to start. And actually some of the scholars say she lied because she tricked the others. She still told the defects. But anyway, that's a different point. The point is he was full of problems. Anyway, you don't have to list him. Husband number 3. She said, in antiku utallak wa in askut uallak. My husband, he's got the divorce gun ready. What do you say? What do you say? I'm going to divorce you. Careful. You don't clean house. Divorce trigger. Yeah, trigger happy husband. That's it now, divorce. If you do this one more time, so she goes, I feel suspended. Neither am I a wife, neither am I divorced. I'm like suspended, hanging in thin air. What's going on? I feel I'm always on the edge of the divorce button. Always on the edge of finishing the marriage. Her husband number 4. In akala laffa wa in shariba shtaffa. My husband, as for my husband, when you use inna, you like emphasis in Arabic for inna. My husband, when there's a table of food, he devours everything. When there's some drink, he drinks everything. And like at the end of the meal, like, what do you want? The food's gone. So the wife's preparing, and as she's setting the table, he's already starting. This is really good. Eating everything. And like he's finished the meal, and all right, did you want some? Everything's gone. She goes, my husband is so selfish. When he eats, he devours everything. When he drinks, he devours everything. So he's very selfish. He never asks his wife, do you want some? He never waits for his wife to come to the table. He never offers her first. He looks after number one. Husband number 5. شجك أو فلك أو جمع كل لك. My husband, he is extremely stupid and extremely clumsy. Either he will break my arm, either he will break my neck, or he will do both. Right? This guy is the American wife batterer, or those trash that you get that beat their wives. They are wife beaters. My husband is a wife beater. He doesn't really, he's so stupid, instead of slapping me, he's knocked 3 teeth out. There's no point talking about him, he's a wife beater. So they're the first 5. You don't want to be like those 5 brothers. Please don't aspire to be like them. Then the next ones. The Prophet, remember, this is a story. The Prophet is telling a story to Aisha. He goes, husband number 6. زوجتي said, الليل ليل تحامة لا برد ولا حر ولا مخافة. My husband, he's like the night of Tihama. You know, the night of Tihama is, if anyone's ever been to Mecca, the best time, the best weather is in the middle of the night, is in the late night. It's not hot, it's not cold, it's just right. It's a nice breeze, yeah? Tihama. My husband is like the night of Tihama. In his company, neither is it hot, neither is it cold, neither is there boredom. So when I'm in his company, it's nice. It's like the night of Tihama. He's very approachable, very comforting, very nice, very, listen, he's a good husband. He's very accommodating. Husband number 7. إِذَا دَخَلَ فَهِدَ وَإِذَا خَرَجَ أَسِدَ. My husband, when he comes home, he's like a sleepy leopard. He's relaxed, he's easygoing, he's calm. وَإِذَا خَرَجَ, but when he goes out, أَسِدَ, he's like a lion. So when my husband goes out, when he walks out the house, some brothers are nodding, but imagine the reverse. He's a wimp outside, but when he comes here, man home. And the kids are like, run for your lives, hide under the beds, right? It should be the other way. When he's outside facing the world, he is carrying dawah, he is confident, he is strong, he is not, he doesn't cower under any pressure. He holds on to his Islam. And when he's at home, he's easygoing and calm, like the sleepy leopard. Number 8. وَالْمَسُّ مَسُّ أَرْنَبْ. My husband, Arnab is a rabbit. وَالْمَسُّ مَسُّ أَرْنَبْ. My husband is like soft. We've just recently got a rabbit. Very cute, right? Very soft. My husband, his touch is so soft. He's nice, right? His touch is like that. He's not like the wife beater. He goes for a handshake and snaps off the arm or something, right? Or breaks some fingers or something. My husband is soft, kind and gentle, like a rabbit. Husband 9 and 10. Husband 9 and 10, they said, my husbands, they keep the animals close to the house. So when the knife comes out, they know that it's time for their death. My husband is generous. He's constantly treating people, hosting people. He's a generous guest. He's generous to his guests, generous host. He treats them nicely, he invites people, feeding them. He's not stingy. My husbands are very, very generous. Husband 11, the last one. And this is Zara. Zara, she said, my husband, Abu Zara, he was so nice. He filled my ears with jewelry. He made my arms big, fed me well. I would sleep till mid-morning. I would sleep till afternoon. I would speak my mind in his house. I was so comfortable in his house. But then he divorced me, the snake git. Right? He divorced me. How could he do this to me? Right? He divorced me. He was so kind to me. He was excellent, but he let me down. He divorced me. The Prophet ﷺ then said to Aisha, he said, فَإِنِّي كُنْتُ لَكَ كَأَبِي ذَرٍ. I am for you like Abu Zar. but Abu Dhar divorced his wife, but me, O Aisha, I will not divorce you. Right? I will look after you and I will take care of you. At which point Aisha was very happy. She said, may Allah has blessed me, and it was a nice end to the story. So, what are the lessons? The lessons, we need to make sure we build the Islamic identity. We need to make sure we build our Islamic homes, our marriages on Islam. That we learn them and we carry these ideals, these values of Islam by word and deed. Not only do we say them, but we act on them. Because our da'wah is not just by what we say, it's how we act and how we live. And we as Muslims in this country, we should be role models, not only by our speech, but our marriages and our homes. They should be examples of Islam that light up any sort of dhulm and corruption around us. We need to make sure that our reference point is Islam, and we are not tempted by the Eastern way of life, and we are not tempted by the Western corrupt way of life, but rather we have our own values, we have our own deen, and actually it's the most beautiful way. And that is the way that we should live. The Prophet ﷺ said, خَيْرُكُمْ خَيْرُكُمْ لِأَهْلِهِ وَأَنَا خَيْرُكُمْ لِأَهْلِي. The best of you is the one who is best to his wives, and I am the best to my wives. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us good wives if we haven't got them. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us good husbands if we haven't got them. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive us for the shortcomings in our responsibilities, and may He build our homes on tranquility, on love, on affection, on mercy, and make us an example to those around us of the beautiful values of Islam. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive me for any mistakes and accept any good for today's gathering, inshallah. Jazakallah khair.